All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming this morning and attending our virtual call with the theme of local foods and local schools. Caroline and I wanted to share with you a little bit of information about today's call. I'm going to open this up. Thinking about it. All right. So Caroline and I are part of the Northwest Tennessee Local Food Network. And today's agenda is first, we're going to do some introductions. So we're going to do that first. So what we're going to do is we're going to do hot potato introductions. And the way this works is you tell us your name, your representing business, where y'all are from, and then you're going to pass the potato to whoever you want to choose that's on the call. For those who are on the phone, we'll just hot potato it to you. And figure out who's your hot potato afterwards. So I'll start first since I'm talking already. My name's Samantha Goyret. I'm the director of the Northwest Tennessee Local Food Network. We are based out of Martin, Tennessee, and we are working with 9 counties within our region in Northwest Tennessee, from Benton all the way to Lake, down to Carroll, Crockett, and all the counties in between. So I'm going to pass the hot potato to Caroline.
Yes, good morning, everybody. My name is Caroline. I'm Ideus, and I am working with Sam. I am the outreach coordinator, and so we do a lot of things in tandem, and that is most of our work is with farm to school and getting local producers into schools, and either through procurement, education, and those are our big components. Next person will be Mandy Drury.
Hi, I'm Mandy Drury. I am brand new on the job today. I'm the Child Nutrition Director for West Carroll Special School District.
Oh, well, welcome.
And I'm from
First
Camden.
day.
All right, Mandy, who would you like to pass the hot potato to?
Oh, I see Mike Brown.
Well, thank you, Mandy. Yes, Mike Brown, Tennessee Department of Agriculture. I'm on the food, actually the food business consultant on the business development team at TDA. We function to try to promote agriculture and get as much local food into local mouths as many as in all kinds of ways, and that takes the form of certainly this kind of program, developing markets, developing specific products that are maybe not always seen and as a Tennessee product, but work closely with the agriculture, and it's truly an honor to be in a meeting with so many agricultural advocates. So thank you for that. And I'll throw it to Ryan.
Hi, Mike. Hi, guys. My name is Ryan Gunn. I represent a farm called Blueberry Farms. We are located in College Grove, Tennessee, in Williamson County. We are a protein farm. We raise grass-fed and finished beef, pasture-raised pork, pasture-raised meat birds, egg-laying hens, and our goal for 2024 is to open up our stores in College Grove and just kind of be open for business. So thanks for having me today, Mike. Good to see you. I know we spoke on Friday, so I was
good to see you.
Glad to see you on this call. And you'll have to excuse me. I'm driving right now to actually go pick up some meat and at the processor in Loretto. So thanks for having me. I look forward to hearing from everybody, and I'll pass the potato to whoever's next. I can't really see.
How about Sue Miller?
Hi, Sam. I'm Sue Miller, and James is with me, and we are the owners of Blackberry Pond Farm in Martin, Tennessee. And we are USDA certified organic and grow salad greens and lettuces predominantly, but other vegetables as well in season. We are already involved with Sam and Carolyn in the farm to school efforts locally in West Tennessee. We have been providing salad greens for the Trenton School District, which is Lisa Garland Siebert. I don't know if she's on the call or not.
Yes, she is.
I've been talking to Trista Snyder about providing greens on a limited basis in Weakley County, maybe one school at a time, starting in January. And this week, we are also going to be taking salad greens to all the schools in Milan School District. So we're kind of excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
So glad to be on the call today.
Glad you're here. So, Sue, who would you like to pass the potato to?
Well, I can't see who's on the call, so whoever you want me to, Sam.
How about Brenda Williams?
Good morning, everyone. I am Brenda Williams with Communities Unlimited. We are a nonprofit. We're based out of Arkansas, and we work in 7 states. And I am the manager of the Healthy Foods Initiative, and I work to increase access to local produce, to schools, to food insecure communities, and also do a program, Food as Medicine. I am glad to be a part of this call today, and I'll pass the hot potato to Dan.
Thanks, Brenda. Hey, everyone. Dan Spatz here, and I am representing 2 farms. So Healthy Flavors in, well, I was going to almost say College Grove. Ryan, sounds like you're nearby. We're actually in Eagleville, just down the road. We grow culinary herbs there, and my wife is running that operation. My family's historical farm is over in Conway, Arkansas, and working to transition that farm off of the classic commodity crops onto specialty crops, community-oriented, more regenerative farming. And also here to represent the Communities Unlimited program. You just heard from Brenda. We have a USDA farm to school grant, and we're working to strengthen those relationships and procurement opportunities between the school districts and the farms. So I will pass the baton to Jiwon. We'll keep the Mid-South Grant Partnership running. Go ahead, Jiwon.
Thanks, Dan. Hi, everyone. My name is Jiwon Jun, and I work with a nonprofit called Eat Real. So I get the pleasure and honor to work with school districts and their food service director leaders to help them, work on and look at their menus and being able to serve nutritious, delicious, and just planet sustaining meals. And that includes really the local procurement side and being able to support local farmers and getting those students those fresh, delicious local produce and proteins and all of that work. So I have the pleasure of working with Trista in Weakley County, Lisa in Trenton, and Vicky in Milan in Tennessee, and with Brenda and Dan. I also have, we work with another district in Arkansas as well through this USDA grant that Dan was talking about. So just pleasure to be here and just so excited to learn and to support from our side where we work really closely with school districts. I'll pass it to Lisa. I don't know if you're able to join, but speaking of a wonderful food service director, I want to pass it to you.
Did she say Lisa?
Yes.
I did say Lisa,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. The doctor's office had called and I just had to pick up the call right quick. I'm Lisa Sieber-Garland. I am the School Nutrition Director and Federal Finance Director at Trenton Special School District. And I'm not sure what all you were saying, but I love this new program that we're working on. And I love the way we're getting together and we're becoming one great big happy family working together to make our kids happy and eating healthy. Who do I need to pass the ball to? Because I can't see. I'm on my phone.
Let's pass it to Tyler Smith.
maybe Tyler cannot hear us.
Okay, we'll pass it to Lydia Cyrus, and Tyler, we'll get you in the tail end.
Hi, so I'm Lydia Cyrus. I'm from Refresh, Appalachia, which is in West Virginia. So I might be like the oddball out here, but I am their farm to institution coordinator, which right now looks a lot like farm to school, mostly for me. We work with a bunch of different states, mainly in Appalachia. We do really cool things, so I'm really excited to be here.
Thanks for joining us.
Maybe Sebastian. Have we heard from Sebastian?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sebastian Knappel from Westphalia Farms in Paris, Tennessee. We wanted to get our feet wet. We were starting to sell pasture or grass raised and grass finished Belgian Galloways, so Oreo cows. And since our kids been to school here in Henry County, we wanted to see if there's any way to get involved with the community.
Excellent. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining the call today. And Tyler, are you able to speak?
Yeah, I've got the audio working now.
Okay, great. So Tyler, would you like to introduce yourself? Speaking of Henry County, we got some Henry County folks here.
Yeah.
Tyler Smith, owner operator of Future Vision Farms. We're located in Whitlock, Tennessee. We grow quite a bit of produce for shipping purposes, some for fresh market retail. We do agritourism. We also have grain. So, yep, we're located north of Paris. We also have greenhouses. Grow a huge variety of product for about, I guess, nearly all year now, with the greenhouses included. We're getting stuff ready to go in here in the next few weeks. Start the season again, I guess.
All right. Thanks for coming and joining us today, Tyler. Let's pass the potato to Trista Snyder.
Hello, everybody. I'm Trista Snyder. I am the School Nutrition Director for Wiggly County Schools. I am in my 7th year, almost 8th year of being the director. And I am very excited to work with everyone who is on this call that is interested in providing produce or meat or anything else local that we could buy for our school system.
And okay, so let's pass the potato to Marlea.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I am Marlea Finch. I'm the Supplemental Programs Director here at the Department of Education. I oversee Farm to School. Lindsay Paul is our Farm to School Specialist. She is sick today, so I'm stepping in for her. And we are here to help cultivate and connect all these different awesome programs going on across the state and to share best practices across the state with school districts, farmers, producers, and working closely with Mike.
Awesome. Thank you, Marlea. Would you like to pass the hot potato?
I think, is Denise the only one we haven't heard from?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone. I'm Denise Bayhill, and I am here with an interest both personally and looking at farm to school programs for my the schools that my kids are in. And also professionally, I work with a nonprofit that is working on strengthening local food systems across the country. And we are really interested in helping out in areas where they want to implement farm to school programs, because we feel like it's just a win all around for the kids and a good market for farmers. And so I'm here really just to learn more.
Excellent. Well, this is amazing. What a wonderful group of people. And thank you again all so much for taking your time to join this really important conversation as we plan for 2024 and 25 and beyond. First, I wanted to just give you a brief overview about the Local Food Network, who we are, what we do. Caroline and I both serve as farm to school consultants for area school districts throughout our region and even a little outside of our region as well. But as we are a nonprofit, our mission is we are very center mission driven, and we are serving as a catalyst for a thriving and equitable local food system that is accessible to all in our region. Part of that serving as a catalyst is that Caroline and I know that we can't do this work alone, and it really takes a village to raise children. And it takes even more to be able to feed our children nutritious food so that they have a good quality of life and a good footing to start off life, giving them the skills and the knowledge about food and agriculture and nutrition through farm to school programming. So we do have a vision, and our ideal vision is to create this sustainable regional food system that's resilient, and it utilizes locally grown and produced foods to promote healthy individuals, equitable communities, and thriving local economies. We also work very, very much in hand with Marlea Finch and Lindsay Paul from the Tennessee Department of Education. And just wanted to share a little bit of data about farm to school initiatives in Tennessee. So here's a little bit, I don't want to read through it all, but basically farm to school has been growing a lot in Tennessee. There's only just a few counties that farm to school has not reached yet, but I'm very confident within the next couple of years we're going to have the whole state of Tennessee covered. But that's really benefit and thanks to Marlea and Lindsay's constant efforts that they are using to help sustain and build farm to school programs throughout our state. So they are awesome contacts to know, and please reach out to them if you have any specific questions related to local foods or schools. So there are three basic elements of farm to school that really make farm to school work. One is procurement, and that's really our main focus of our conversation today. So procurement entails, bringing the food from local farms into schools, but it also means using school grown produce into the schools as well. We've done this through taste tests because we realize that, not one farmer can supply a whole school district for the whole year, but a collective of farmers are able to source foods throughout the school year in different ways. And that could look like, going into one school, focusing on a school district, or using a CSA model to support school nutrition needs. One of the other elements is growing food. Now, the National Farm to School Network says it's really about growing gardens, but growing food is much more broad and inclusive because that also includes protein raising. There's a lot of school farms that have popped up in our region that are raising beef, they're raising hogs, they're raising chickens for eggs. So it's really about the all-encompassing growing food aspects, whether it's in the school, in the community, at a school garden, in a greenhouse, or even in the classroom. And then education, that is the thing that ties it all together, because we're working with schools and we're educating not only students about the importance of where your food comes from and the nutrition components behind that, but also educating the broader community about the benefits of supporting your local farmers and food entities. So in our farm to school planning projects, we always ask this question: how do you define local? And this is an example of our farm to school project that we did with Obion County schools. There are a total of 7 schools located in Obion County. And this is kind of the over-encompassing tier system that we've identified through all of our different conversations we've had with many different school partners. Tier 1 being super duper hyper local, and that's like, within 20 miles, or really like within the county of that particular place. Tier 2 is really within 50-mile radius, and tier 3 is within 100-mile radius. Now, the USDA defines local within 400 miles. And as you can see in this graphic, that is quite a really large area that encompasses 400, from Chicago all the way down to Mobile, to Kansas City, over to Asheville, North Carolina. So you're talking about a huge area, but for today's purposes, we're really just kind of focusing within that 100-mile radius within our region, because that's more accessible. It's easier to deliver and coordinate activities. So we're here today about local food procurement. And most of you are probably already aware of this, but it's really about sourcing local foods that are grown locally, that are helping support families, including schools, individuals, all different kinds of folks, anybody who eats food, really, and creating that value-added food system related jobs while also supporting local entrepreneurship through agriculture. And when local food procurement happens with equity in mind, the transformation is beautiful. It's beautiful because at the end of the day, what we're really doing, especially when it comes to farm to school, is that we're getting kids the best quality food they could possibly eat, because they spend a lot of time throughout the year at schools. They get breakfast, they get lunch, they get snacks, and sometimes they even get dinner. So being able to offer local foods into the schools for the children is a win-win-win, because then you grow that taste for that homegrown tomato or that local watermelon or that locally raised beef. There is quite a difference. So that's kind of why we use taste tests for our local procurement opportunities. Now we, as a nonprofit, we are grant funded, and right now we're working on off of a farm to school implementation grant. So I just wanted to share a couple of the goals that we have through this grant, but really they're just overarching goals, and they're related through the elements. So we're trying to increase education opportunities, local food procurement opportunities, and sustaining growing food projects within the schools and in the community. But ultimately, we're trying to seek sustainability so we can create this resilient structure that supports farmers, it supports schools, it supports the community, and it's all through the benefits of accessing local foods. Part of some other things that the Local Food Network does is we help with advocacy and community strategies. We help also support with grant writing, do project facilitation. We've done 4 farm to school action planning projects with 5, 6, 7, 8 school districts and counting. We also offer a range of local food procurement resources that we'll share with you in a bit. Professional development training, Taste of Tennessee of the Month, the Harvest of the Month program that we've initiated, and we're trying to implement it statewide. Our local food guide magazine, which lists all different area farmers, and our Nourishing Connection program, which is a farm to early childcare program. All of our Weakley County early childcare centers are involved with that, 12 in all, and also farmers markets. And during the season, Caroline and I both serve as co-managers to the Martin Farmers Market. So she and I we're just very passionate about cultivating this thriving local food system through the benefits of local food in farmers markets and in other means. And then last but not least, we are encouraging more people to grow their own food, to dabble in the art of growing food and reducing food waste through our Grow Food Challenge, which we host every year in the spring through the summer. So one of the key components about local food procurement is, like I said before, we realize that farmers are not able to procure foods on a yearly basis every day in the school food system, and that's okay. So what we focus on is just by tapping into monthly seasonal products that we know we are able to secure into schools, and that's through taste tests. So I wanted to share kind of this outlay, and we are in the process of updating this program to include proteins, which is beef and pork. But there's always others too, like squash and zucchini and other different types of vegetables like peppers, and even tomatoes that are then procured into school. But this is kind of the premise and our framework to getting local schools into foods, but also helping facilitate the planning of that before the next grow season. So that's kind of why we're here today. I did want to share some, Marlea, would you mind sharing information about these farm to school institutes that are happening?
Absolutely. So I can drop the registration links in the chat. Hot off the press, we just got those. We will be in West Tennessee Monday, January 8th. And we took feedback from last year's first annual Farm to School Institutes. And we've
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
consolidated
So I
it
ordered
down
gas for the
to
propane.
the 10 to 2
We
time
arranged
frame. So
delivery
hopefully
of
we
our
can
potting
make.
mix.
Hold on, we've got
And
Can you mute them,
that's
Sam?
it.
working on it. Okay.
Maybe we're not muted.
Nope, you're not muted. It's okay. I'm muting you, Sue. Okay. Sorry, go ahead, Marlea.
So yeah, no problem. So hopefully we can really get the most bang for your buck time wise. From 10 to 2, it will be a jam-packed agenda. Lunch will be provided, as we will be networking and working through lunch as well. But yep, we'll be in West Tennessee at the Martin Event Center January 8th. We will be at the Knoxville Conference Center right off of Hanley on January 10th. And then we will be at the Department of Ag at the Ellington Ag Center on the 12th.
Excellent. And for those who don't know where the Martin Event Center is, it's located at the Martin Public Library, right in downtown. It's a nice space. Thank you, Marlea. So yeah, we hope y'all can attend that. It's fabulous. Last year was very fruitful, and this year it will be even better because you've already got 1 year under your belt, so you know what's going on. I think. Also, you know, this is our contact information, Caroline and I, but we wanted to share that we also are not only growing food ourselves personally, but we're also growing children. So it just adds more bang for your buck about, you know, the different things that we're trying to do, because ultimately at the end of the day, our future is our children. And what better way to give them access to these local foods to help them grow and also become local food consumers themselves when they get older. So yeah, all of these are our babies that are growing, and yeah, we just wanted to share a little family photo of us. Any questions about our organization or what we're doing? It's pretty clear. Okay, awesome. All right. So part of the premise today is to discuss procurement trends and issues. And I wanted to give the mic to Dan Spatz because he has been heavily involved both as a farmer and a community advocate, and also a community organizer around farm to school programming and procurement initiatives. So Dan, would you be willing to share your story about how'd you get here?
Sure. Thanks, Sam. And yeah, it's an interesting story, a long story. So I'm going to chunk it down here, right? I mean, I'm going to use the example of the farm in Arkansas mostly here because one of the things I realized, and we grow soybeans, wheat, and rice. I mean, we have 260 acres of cultivatable land. It's been farmed actively in my family and then not farmed actively. But one of the things I realized, having gotten deeper into farming and agriculture, is that it's getting harder and harder to make ends meet, to make an economic case for a food system that basically takes your production and you drive the 53-foot truck up to the grain elevator, dump it, and off it goes to wherever, right? And you get a check in the mail. So in some instances, it's kind of easy. Easier. I'm not going to say it's easy to be a farmer by any means, but realizing that if we wanted to keep this tradition going in our family, I felt I needed a stronger economic model. And probably by accident, but with a lot of history as well. So I used to work for the Mars Corporation and in the branded global kind of food system, and through a whole series of events, I just became aware that we could be doing a lot better for our kids. The types of foods they consume, what Samantha was alluding to, is really important to their health. And we know a lot of health issues in our society today, not to mention that 18% of our GDP is in healthcare, and it's the fastest growing part of our economy, but we don't seem to be getting any better. If you look around at your friends and families and in your community, and it's like heart attacks and cancers and diabetes and all these sorts of things. So I just put a lot of things together and figured that if I was going to have an impact using the resources in our family, working with the school districts to understand the possibility of getting local food in to the child nutrition programs was a way of addressing something and doing something more impactful as a farmer, and also potentially provided a better economic route forward. And what I would say most of all, where I'm really passionate about this, is the opportunity to sit down with people in your community face to face and have a conversation, like Lisa was saying, Lisa Sieber-Garland, I mean, the child nutrition directors are passionate about feeding their kids the best possible food. And so when you can do that and when you can have those relationships, which, I mean, if you look at our food system over time, essentially they've been severed, right? Now, the farmers have that opportunity, how to make that happen, how to understand this model is what Brenda, Jiwon, and I have been working on recently in this Communities Unlimited activity. We've had the privilege of getting to know Trista and Lisa and also Vicki Dunaway's school districts a bit better. And we're now in the phase of going out and visiting with some more farmers. Sue, it was a absolute brilliant pleasure to see how your farm has developed and expanded and grown with Farm to School as a purpose. That's the Blackberry Pond Farm. And I would just say we need more farmers interested in this area, passionate about it, and also willing to take managed risk is the way I would describe it, because it might not be intuitive as the easiest way of selling your food. But the other thing that has really motivated me is the child nutrition program. The schools in our country are the largest restaurant chain in America, right? Or in Tennessee, or however you want to slice and dice it, it doesn't matter. So if you're thinking about it from that farming perspective and what are the markets that I have to sell food, again, it was a intuitive and logical choice to start having those conversations with child nutrition directors. What I learned along the way, Sam, back to kind of the trends and issues perspective is, what we've got coming off the farm is not necessarily packaged in the way that a child nutrition director would normally use it. If they're getting food from their broadline kind of distributor, right, we need to understand as farmers how to best, I would say, either minimally process or package that food to make it usable for a food service program in the schools. And then another thing is the pricing. I think we've got a lot of work to do to understand how the scalability of this works. It's great to be passionate about it. And we're going to make a lot of progress with passionate people, but then marrying that together with a little bit of a professional touch about how do we get that food off the farm ready for use in the child nutrition programs. Because if there's one thing I have learned in the 3-4 years I've been doing this is overwhelming respect for the role of a child nutrition director. They're not just trying to feed typically thousands of kids, but they've got their own challenges like hiring staff to do this food preparation. And in a lot of respects, we're asking them to do more work in the kitchen, not less, more, right? And so we really I think need to sit down, listen more carefully to the child nutrition directors, what their needs are, and how we can service them better. And I think that mindset of just good customer service, but that only comes through the relationships that I mentioned earlier, and so forth. So that's a little bit of my story. related to farm to school. The other thing I would mention is that don't think as a farmer that you're doing this on your own. The other thing I've discovered is there's a lot of resources out there and available to help us do this, whether it's USDA resources or agencies like Communities Unlimited, right? The grant that we mentioned earlier has resources that are starting to flow through. And I think that more and more, the state of Tennessee has been great through the EQUIP program. I know not EQUIP, but the TAEP program that is not necessarily designed to service farm to school in particular, but there are resources that a number of us on this call are either experienced with or exposed to, where if you reach out and ask, I think we have the resources available, to the internal resources to help you tap into these external resources and make your farming operation closer to what you would need to service a school food service program. So I'll pause it there. Was that a decent enough intro, Sam?
Very well said. I couldn't have said it any better. Great introduction, Dan. Thank you. So in the light of cultivating relationships, I would love to take a moment to hear from our school nutrition directors. What's the current funding you have now, and what is it that you're looking for in your schools? So I'm going to start with Trista.
So currently we have some local foods monies that we're able to supplement our budget with. We're able to pay for local foods through some additional funding. So, I mean, like I said earlier, I am interested in procuring basically whatever is available. You know, I know that Ms. Sue and I have had some conversations. We're looking at starting an arrangement probably the beginning of February, the end of January. Tyler and I have worked together in the past. I don't currently have anyone that I'm buying any meat products from locally. I would be interested in that. And our biggest barriers seemingly in the past have been cost, and then also getting deliveries when we need them, and the farmer being able to provide the appropriate transportation. I think those have been our biggest barriers. But yeah, so I don't know what else I should speak to, Sam.
That's okay. Well, I mean, just having access to the Local Foods for Local Schools grant funding has been very helpful in helping pay for locally sourced foods. Definitely.
Yes, it has been very helpful.
And for those who don't know, Trista Snyder is the School and Nutrition Director for Weakley County Schools. And now we'll pass the potato to Lisa. Lisa, tell us about your Local Foods for Schools grant, also the Healthy School Incentives grant that you received, and what's your vision?
What's my vision? Well, we have received the HMI grant and the Local Foods grant, which is enabling us to provide fresh beef for our schools. We call it we buy it from the Stockyard Market in Trenton. And so we call it the Stockyard Burger, and the kids love it. We have those every Friday. We're starting to do pork now, so we can do sausage with them. And I buy the produce from all the others that I can in our area. Miss Sue, I buy things from her. These grant funds have helped us tremendously to buy things that are locally produced, and so we're helping the farmers as well. And they also give us the ability to hire extra people, because when you're buying fresher products, there's a little bit more work to it. It's not already chopped up and ready. You do a little bit more work, which is good. It's fresher and it tastes better, and we're wanting to do that. We're wanting everything to be more scratch cooking. And also, it allows us to buy equipment. We've been able to do that. I was trying to think of what else. My vision, you said. My vision is our students want to eat in our cafeteria. Every single one of them, that is their cafe. I want it to be where they want to go to eat, and it's always good. It's good food, good hospitality. Our workers treat them right and make them happy to be there. I want every child to at least have 2 good meals a day from us, and that they enjoy them, that they enjoy their meals, and that they tell other people about it. And if we have a happy child from their tummies being full, they can study harder.
That's for
I
sure.
guess that's my vision.
That's a great vision. Thank you, Lisa. And Lisa is from Trenton
Thank
Special
you.
School District. We do not have Vicki Dunway on the call, but she is the Milan Special School District School Nutrition Director. And she has also received this funding and is also interested in procuring local food for her schools.
Hey, Sam.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is Trista again. I did not say anything. We also received a Healthy Meals Incentive Grant. So we have some of those capabilities too. One of the things that I'm really excited
You're
about
right
in
one.
conjunction
It's
to
the
that
right.
grant is that we have an RFP out right now to consult with a K-12 specialist chef, hopefully starting in the spring and then going through next school year, so that we can better understand how to use some different produce that we haven't used in the past, incorporate that into our menus, and also have more scratch cooking and more fast scratch cooking. So that's also Weakley County's vision. I didn't think to say those things before Lisa started talking. So thank you, Lisa, for being an inspiration to say that. But yes, those are also our goals. And we do have a Facebook page. I haven't posted probably in about 3 weeks, but we do have some pictures of our meals on there. It's Weakley County School Nutrition Facebook, if you would ever like to look and see what we're trying to do and accomplish in our school system.
This is Lisa, and if it's okay, I would just like to say the good thing about school nutrition directors, we all work together. We are a team. We are a family. We don't try to do more than the other. We all want to everyone to do well, because that's our jobs, feeding our kids. And I appreciate Trista, and I appreciate everyone that we work with, Vicki, because we might not think of something and they do think of it. So we're really blessed.
Yeah, you are our village. That's for sure.
Yes, that is absolutely true. And I think this is one of the few professions where it's not a dog eat dog or undercut each other. We do try to get ideas from each other and share our resources. And so it can be a very tough profession to be in, but we definitely have a lot of support from one another, and then from individuals like Sam and Caroline that are really trying to help us elevate what we're doing.
Thank you, Trista. Well, and Dana, I know today's your first day on the job, but would you like to share information about just your interest in joining this conversation? If Dana's still on the call, I don't think, maybe Dana got off the call. Oh, maybe she left the call. Oh, okay. Well, that's okay.
Is it Dana or Mandy? I thought Mandy was.
Oh, sorry, Mandy. Yeah, it is Mandy. It's not Dana. I don't know. Mandy Drury. But I think she got off the call, so that's okay. Moving forward. So now I'd like for us to share and discuss information about what's the best way and strategies to create these pathways for local procurement and different collaborations or innovative practices that we can work on towards together. One of the things, and the reason why I invited Mike Brown here is because he is very informative about the GAP cost share program. And although schools do not require being GAP certified, it is a trend that is kind of headed in that direction. And it's also really good knowledge to know just overall like food safety strategies and protocols that you can implement on your farm. Now, before Mike gets started, I did want to share is that we are working on a grant right now to be able to offset the cost share program. So the idea is that we would help facilitate and get farmers to apply for a GAP cost share program, but we would also offset the additional costs. So ultimately, the farmer has no cost involved in getting GAP certified. Additionally, with this grant that we're applying for, and of course you don't know until you get it, and hopefully we'll be able to share some really good news come May. But we are working with FFA students. They have these service agriculture education internships that they are working on. It's part of the national FFA initiatives that's going on. And so we're offering SAE internships to connect high school FFA students with local farmers to help not only with your farm, but help them educate them about how awesome it is to be a farmer, and what great and wonderful things y'all are doing, and just teaching them and also supporting your farms. That won't take place until this coming summer, but it's definitely food for thought. So without further delay, I'd like to pass the mic to Mike Brown, and it would also include renewals for GAP as well.
All right, that's great. Am I back on here? I was muted. Can you guys
You're
hear me?
good.
I see
Yeah.
Dan's. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Well, thanks so much, Samantha. And before I talk about GAP cost share, I want to expand a little bit on what Dan mentioned as far as state funding programs, TAEP. We love acronyms. You know, acronyms drive me crazy, but TAEP stands for the Tennessee Agricultural Enhancement Program. We throw it around like everybody knows what it means. So that's what it means. And that's ongoing funding that is approved and appropriated by your elected officials. So if you ever have time to thank your elected officials for doing that, it would be very appropriate to give them kudos. This is a program that I don't know of any other state that has it. I don't know all 50 states that well, but I do know that we're the envy of southeastern states for sure. Dan mentioned Arkansas. I work with people in Arkansas all the time. They always say, "Oh yeah, y'all got money. You give farmers money, right? How do we do that?" And my answer is always, "Well, get your legislators to appropriate it. That's how we got it." So anyway, that's the source of this funding. And it's a cost share program. It typically will pay, normally the max on it is about $14,000 a year, somewhere in there. And it's specifically for production, what I would call production agricultural inputs. So if you need a grain bin, or if you need another way to, we pay for freezers, for instance, for meat, you know, just anything that would allow you to, number one, get the product out of the ground, and then continue to market the product. We actually even pay for marketing sometimes. We've paid for billboards on interstates before to direct people to direct consumers to farmers. We pay for irrigation systems, of course, fencing, anything that keeps pests out. We try to put that on the top of the category. So that's the biggest tool that we have that's outside of the GAP cost share. This program has been going on since 2005, and it expands. I think this year we just finished that round of applications. I think we had something over 7,000 applicants, and most all of those applicants will be funded to some degree. The only ones that aren't funded are the ones that just totally didn't send the stuff in that they were supposed to. But we work very hard at trying to get money into the farmer's hands. So that's the tool that helps you get the product up out of the ground. Another tool we have to further, and again, Dan mentioned this as well, to get you in a position to further process something. Let's just take an example. You have carrots in your farm, and the local school says, you know, I don't have enough people to take in dirty carrots, and I don't have any enough people to chop them up when they get there. So I have to have clean chopped carrots at the back of my door. Well, we have another program called the Agricultural Enterprise Fund, AEF. And that one is actually a cost share program as well. It pays 25% of the project, and the application on that one is taken every quarter. So you really, if you miss a quarter, you got 3 months short time, to get another application in. But a good example of that one would be just like, and Dan mentioned it as well, just like I said, if you grow carrots and you don't need help getting them out of the ground, but you need help further processing them. Well, apply for this AEF funding that would pay for a the chopping system, the packaging system, something like that would be a permitted project. So we would help certainly with, all the resources with that. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that there are ongoing state funds while it pays for things other than schools. School producers certainly can benefit from that. So if anybody has any other questions about that, catch me offline, or I'll be glad to expand. Now, I see some people in the chat box, so let me just click on that. And make sure.
Yes, Brenda Williams has a question.
Oh, yes, go ahead, Brenda.
What is the maximum amount of funding for each grant?
That's a good question, Brenda. The TAEP typically maxes out at about around $14,000. The max on the AEF is actually $50,000. But that one only pays 25% of the project. So if you've got a $50,000 project, it would pay, $12,500 of that. If you got a $100,000 project, it'd pay $25,000. So, but the max on that one is $50,000. But you can be a recipient of AEF. Actually, one thing I need to tell you is you can participate year over year. So we have farmers that have participated in TAEP since it started in 05. And so they benefited every year since 05.
Wow.
The AEF actually has a maximum of $200,000 award. So that means that you could have, up to 4 awards. If you maxed out each one at $50,000, you could get 4 awards, and you can do it year over year, or you can wait a year. But the biggest negative to that program, I guess, is that it is cost share. So it's not something that we pay for completely. You've got to come up with some money, so you've got to come up with some money to pay your 75%. Now, one thing you need to know, I know there are a lot of you in from West Tennessee on this call. There are a lot of distressed and at-risk counties in West Tennessee. We put those at the top of the list. That's the governor ran on economic development in distressed and at-risk counties, and he has continued to follow up on that in all kinds of ways, this being one of them, in that distressed and at-risk counties automatically get preferential treatment as far as getting funding under the AEF program. As a matter of fact, if you're touching, or which a lot of you would fit this category, you can either be adjoining a distressed or at-risk county or a distressed or at-risk county. Either one of those would put you at a better position to get funding. So that's an excellent question, Brenda. Any other questions about that?
Could you share a little bit about the Tennessee Specialty Crop Block Grant?
Yes, I'm not the best resource for that. Actually, Debbie Ball, we've been trying to replace Debbie ever since she left. She retired on us, so we're kind of we're trying to divvy up that. But essentially, the name of that program is Specialty Crop Block Grant. It's hard to say. But a specialty crop is considered basically anything. We categorize as specialty crops. So if you have a project in your school, you want to try to find some funding for a high tunnel or some other production kind of thing, that's a program that you can apply for, and that's been ongoing for a long time as well. Those are not cost share dollars either. That's just write you a check for your project.
Yeah, and that's up to $25,000.
That's
it's
correct.
A reimbursement grant, so
that's correct. It is reimbursement. That's right. But it's not. But it is not cost share. So you don't have to do. You don't have to come up with 25,000 to get 25,000. Your 25,000 would be a project.
Excellent.
So I appreciate you bringing that up. Okay. Any other questions about that before we talk about GAP cost share? Okay, well, if you think of anything before I get off, please address it. The one thing about GAP that I want every person on the call here to, if you don't hear me say anything else, please hear me say this: that GAP is always an elective procedure. It's always voluntary. It's never mandated by the USDA in any way. So if somebody, if you, well, I just went blank here. Something happened with my screen. There you go. You're back. So if somebody says you have to have GAP to buy, or a farmer has to have GAP to buy to provide the schools, that's not true. Now one thing you can do, you can set GAP as a standard, of a minimum standard of quality for your farmers, and I believe that's the intent of GAP, is to if you're a school or a market or Walmart or Whole Foods or anybody else, and you say, okay, this is my standard, then that's really what GAP is used for. It's to level the playing field for everybody, so they will be producing under the same set of guidelines. Right. So just know GAP is always voluntary, always. One thing we have, and we're working closely right now with a lot of end user marketers, is that at part of the FSMA program, which FSMA is an acronym for Food Safety Modernization Act, FSMA, which was voted in about somewhere 10 years ago, 8 or 10 years ago. As a part of that, there was a new level of produce safety inspections that became required as part of FSMA. So there are some required produce guideline or inspections that do exist. Mostly that's surrounding produce that's ready to eat. You know, everybody knows the #1 recalled food, period, is what, I know Dan knows this. He would know it before anybody would. It's leafy greens. That's everybody says, well, it's chicken. Well, no, it's, you know, chicken's cooked, and so there's not that many recalls. I mean, there are some recalls, but the main ones are the things that aren't cooked. You know, they don't have a kill step. So leafy greens is one, and so that FSMA produce safety inspection is connected to that, to really basically things that are traditionally eaten raw, is the way the USDA says it. So okay, I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. Let's talk about GAP cost share. This is a program that's actually part of the specialty crop block grant that Samantha mentioned. It pays 75% of a GAP inspection, which GAP inspections are running anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000, somewhere in that range. Sometimes you can get a little bit less. You do have to pay for the USDA travel, and then you have to pay, of course, for the inspector's time. So that's typically what that cost. The good news is our GAP cost share program will pay 75% of that cost, up to $1,500. So essentially, we will pay, I guess, so that translates to a $2,000 max if you want. So that $1,500 would be 75% of $2,000. So that would be the max of that. So if you have a $1,000 GAP cost share, or a GAP inspection costs you $1,000, then we'll pay $750. And we just need to see a confirmation that you have received the GAP certification, and we have to have a W-9, because this is taxable. So you will get a W-9 on it, and then we have to see proof that you've paid for it and received all your services, and then we write you a check for the 75% of that amount of money. So it's pretty straightforward. So, all right. So I've gabbed a lot. I know there has to be some questions in there. So any questions?
Yes. This is Brenda Williams with Communities Unlimited. Mike, so can you tell us more about what you're seeing in reference to the trend for GAP certification? I know I work with a number of growers, and we have in the past received a grant to assist with on-farm TA. And in the past, it just has really been a challenge for us to get growers interested in the GAP certification. What are you seeing right now currently?
Well, I think what you just described is absolutely appropriate, Brenda. And I'll emphasize what I said initially. GAP is voluntary. It will be voluntary. And so if a farmer is not required to have it to access some kind of market, he's not going to have it. He or she is not going to have it. I mean, if I'm the farmer and I'm in that position and somebody says, hey, you can get GAP, it's voluntary, we'll pay 75% of it. It's still 25%. It's still money they have to pay. So if they don't need it, they're not going to get it. And with the new FSMA guidelines, we have several different levels of the FSMA, of the produce safety inspection. And so that's the one that's actually absolutely mandatory as far as USDA is concerned. And even within that, it's an exhaustive list, and you might want to look at this just in your spare time. Just Google USDA exhaustive exemption list for produce safety. There are things in USDA's description of that is I think they call it rarely eaten raw, I think is how they describe it. So it would be things like potatoes, corn, I can't think of the whole list, but it's just things that typically are not eaten raw are actually exempt from the produce safety. So that gives you kind of another angle of farmers that absolutely don't have to have the inspection. I believe the short answer to that question, Brenda, is that farmers don't want to deal with it because they don't have to do it, and it costs money. Those two things. I mean, it's going to cost them some money, even with the program. Now, the program that Samantha mentioned earlier would answer that question. If you could find another grant that pays the extra 25% that the TDA doesn't pay, then the farmer doesn't have any argument there. But I guess the argument the farmer could still have was, well, I don't need it. Tell me why I need it. And other than the school requires it, which is legitimate, because the farmers that get it right now do that because they have the Whole Foods of the world, or they have whoever they're selling to is saying, okay, yeah, I'll buy your product, but show me your GAP certification. And you either agree to have it or you don't. If you don't have it and that's the condition of the market, then you don't sell the market. So, but and I'll give you an example, Brenda. Last year with you would think the GAP cost share would be wildly popular in the state. It falls in my responsibility. Last year I had 7 applicants, 7 in the state that took advantage of it. And this year it's less than that.
Interesting.
And the GAP share needs to be redone every year, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah. So, and that's a good point too. So they have to come up with 25% of that cost every year. And if they max it out, well, that's $500.
Yeah.
So it's $500 laying around here. There's a lot of places a farmer can use an extra $500 that I'm sure they would rather not spend on an inspection.
Yes. So this is why we're working on grant funds to help offset those costs. So it's doesn't incur any costs except for time for the farmer to go through the process. Right.
And it's, I've never spoken to a farmer that did not benefit from GAP inspection. I mean, there's good things that come from anybody, third party. It's just third party eyes coming, looking at your process, and inspectors are not out to get you. I mean, they're not. They don't show you. You may have some rogue inspectors every now and then that really like that badge. Here's my badge, and I'm here to shut you down, kind of thing. Well, number one, they can't shut you down because they're you can either, pass with flying colors or have things you need to change. But most farmers that I deal with are glad they got it, because the reality is they want to be better, it takes third party eyes sometimes to be better, to identify those things.
I'd build on that, Mike, to even further to say that probably about 20% of it is just documentation, things you do have to jump through the hoops for. But 80% of it, if you're doing things the way GAP would, prescribe you to do it, you're going to find other cost savings, other productivity gains, just other things about doing business in a best practice manner. And like you're saying, the auditors we've had have been, consultative and very willing to share kind of information or ideas about how to do things better. So it's a good process.
Well, Dan's forgotten more than I know, so he's a better one to talk about this.
I just emailed my wife to make sure we saw their application. You reminded me.
Oh, well, good. Okay, well, now we'd like to take the time to open the floor and hear from our farmers about what are some products that you would be willing and able to procure to schools within the 2024 school year. And you know, today we're not going to get it all set in stone, but we just wanted to open up the door about, you know, if this is something you're interested in, one, and two, what's the best way to make that connection happen among our school district partners that are on the call today, including Weakley County Schools, Trenton Special Schools, and Milan Special School District. So we did hear a little bit from the Millers from Blackberry Pond Farm about some current projects that they're working on right now. But let's just talk about the future. Let's talk about 2024 and how we can get some more school food into schools and what's the best way to do that. So I guess since I already shouted out the Millers, I'll give you the mic first, if that's good with y'all.
Switch phones, so I'm on his phone, so I'm trying to figure out how to talk.
We hear you.
So currently we have a lot of Scarlet Queen turnips and Hakai turnips, which I know probably nobody knows what they are except for us. But they're turnips that don't have to be cooked, that can be eaten in salads, and we've been putting them in our pre-made salads that we sell at market and at a few local grocery stores, and those have been hugely successful. And so you know, looking into January and February, I would love to see a way we can incorporate our turnips, salad turnips, because they're mild in flavor, as well as beets into the school system. Our 4-year-old grandson loves the beets and loves the turnips and eats them raw all the time, pulls them up out of the ground. So I think once you're exposed to it, it's something that you like. So I would like to see more of that. The other thing that we grow a lot of, and we've done a taste test before at Weakley County last year, is microgreens. And I would love to see the microgreens incorporated more into the school system because they have a lot more nutrients in them than the mature plant and just a small bite. And that could be used just as an edible garnish, as well as in salads and on sandwiches and wraps. Multitude of uses. So do you have anything to add?
What happens at the end of the school year and we go into the next school year, 24-25? Are we going to continue on with this?
That's what they're asking about, 24.
Oh, yeah.
You're referring to the Local Foods for Local Schools grant, is that right?
Correct. That's what do we do? What we're doing with Trenton and Milan and Weakley County right now. Yeah. Does that carry over to the next school year?
Nope.
I think he's asking if it continues into the fall next year, because the school calendar runs August to May. So
currently, since that was flow through grant funds from the Department of Education, the grant period ends at the end of August 2024. So you need to spend those funds by then.
Okay. All right. So I don't think we have any other crops coming up that would be ready before school let out in May. Other than what I mentioned, the microgreens, maybe some of our herbs, if they wanted to incorporate fresh herbs. But we're already providing hamburger lettuce, regular lettuce, variegated red lettuce, kale. Already to Trenton. We've been doing that weekly now since August, and Milan, like I said, we're going to start this week and carry that through next semester
all the way to the end of school.
Okay, excellent.
And Weekly County will do on a small basis because we're just a small family ran operation. Every seed is planted by hand. Every plant is harvested by hand, just by our family. So
Okay.
Well, and there's
that's it
also
from us.
the healthy incentives funding. I think that's 2 years. Am I correct with that, Lisa and Trista? There's some procurement funding, I think.
It is 2 years, but food is not included in my grant.
Okay. Well, let's pass. Tyler, are you still on the call? We'll pass it
Yes,
on.
I'm still on there.
Okay. Share with us your interests about the foods you can and are willing to procure at the schools this coming 2020.
What we can deliver early on is going to be strawberries when they come into season. They're all outside. We don't have any in tunnels right now. Kind of kicking that around, but usually we start picking mid to late April, and then we can deliver until school gets out. We usually go into June with our production here. We've got some day neutral berries and some June bears. So depending on the weather, we may start picking before and go longer than that. Through the summer and into the fall, we just can't. We've got logistically all we can stand for delivering. And we've delivered to Trent Special School District, all the Weekly County schools, Stewart County. There's some over there that get some odds and ends stuff from us occasionally. We're really not doing much in Kentucky for some reason. I guess I really just haven't reached out to them more than anything. And Henry County, they haven't, that I know of, received any grants. And this is kind of what I've run into. It's kind of a sidebar here. Contacting other school systems is if you can't or don't want to be competitive with what their wholesaler is moving product at, then generally they're not interested in it. So some of this, especially our fresh market berries that we grow, I'm not planning on selling them for $15 or $16 a flat when we usually sell them for $30 a flat. So our production costs are a lot higher than what you see down in Florida, where that's they'll go into berries and then come back with cantaloupe or some other kind of double crop. So other products that we grow now, if we could work with Sue that's already growing in some of these places, we're going to grow a lot of cukes in the field, cabbage, grow colored cauliflower. We've got a few high tunnels that we grow heirloom tomatoes in, slicing tomatoes, squash, zucchini in the field. We grow watermelons, cantaloupes, and hard squash, butternut, spaghetti, acorn, kabocha, and probably some other stuff that we're gonna do some more new potatoes this year. Onions, sweet onions, red and yellow. Trying to think of some other things we're growing, but we're growing for volume more than anything. So.
Excellent.
And we're GAP certified. Is Mike still on here? I had a question for him.
I'm sorry, I had to unmute. Yes, I'm here. Yeah, go ahead.
The enrollment period for that GAP cost share is already closed for the year, right?
It has, but go ahead and send it. I feel like I can push it through. So, I mean, we have a deadline on that, but if you've incurred the cost and you've met all the qualifications, yeah, just send it on.
Yeah, I think we're the one of the 1 in 10s that's got some of that money the last few years. I didn't even think that was an option this year, honestly, on the GAP cost share. I didn't check into it. So.
Absolutely, it is. It is. Go ahead and send it, and I'll do my best to get it paid. So yeah.
All right, I'll send it right over.
Yeah.
We definitely do that. And that's something, you say it's voluntary, but you get into a shipper scenario and you're wanting to do more than retail. That's pretty much, like you say, a level playing field. Anybody that we do business with, it's not a local retailer requires that. And
right.
Not optional.
Right. Yeah.
And the biggest thing, kind kind of going back to what Brenda was talking about is, you know, if we didn't have to do GAP, we wouldn't, because it's a lot of tedious paperwork for us.
Sure.
Lot.
Yeah.
A lot of redundant, tedious paperwork. If you've ever filled out one of those manuals, I mean,
Oh,
we've probably got
absolutely. Yeah. It'll.
300 pages of things that we beat to death. You know, I mean, a
Well,
lot of it's common
yeah.
sense, but you still got to go through and check all the boxes.
Absolutely. Well, you know, the feds love redundancy. I mean, they'll just drive you crazy. Talk about the same thing over and over again. So
That's true.
I'm sure you've seen that, Samantha, with all the grants you've done. So
Yeah.
don't go down that rabbit hole, right?
Copy paste.
Right.
All right. Well, I'd like to hear from our protein farmers, Ryan and Sebastian. Now, our Harvest of the Month program, like I said earlier, it is being updated. So we are going to be featuring beef in January, and in February we're going to be featuring pork this next coming school year. But that doesn't mean that those are the only times you can procure beef and pork or chicken into the schools. It can be at any time you want. This is just kind of our framework to try to get some more local foods into schools. So Ryan, if you're available, or well, Sebastian, you're unmuted, so I'm gonna go ahead and kick it to you. Or wait, did Sebastian leave us? Where did this? Okay, Ryan?
Yeah, hi. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So, yeah, I'll be honest with you. I feel like a chihuahua that just wandered onto the big dog park fenced-in area now. Like, I'm so new to this whole world. I couldn't even speak to what we could help procure. I do have a couple questions if you're open for that. You know, just more of like the business side of, you know, how all this works. You know, competitive pricing is obviously, you know, we're a very small producer. So I guess my first question is, how small of a producer is too small? Do you have an idea on what size you would want?
There is no size limit. Even just sourcing, we've sourced one beef cattle into a school and that was fine. I know also Clarksburg schools does want to source a head of beef into their school district. So you could just start with one beef cow and you know, go from there, work out the nuts and bolts. But the most important is that your beef is certified through a USDA processor. The schools will not, yeah, they will not accept any other. And additionally, when you're working with the processor, it's really important that the processor understands that the measurements are equal. So say, yeah, like maybe you want to quarter the beef cattle to be ground beef. It's important that the chubs are equal. So it's either, you know, 1 pound chubs or 5 pound chubs or 10 pound chubs. Yeah, but those are two important distinctions. And then also, we know working with beef and pork processors, a lot of times, you know, the farmers will drop off the beef to the processor, and then it's up to the customer to pick up that beef. However, with schools, it's a little trickier because there isn't really that person that can go to the processor and pick it up. So delivery is also a factor, but it can be included within the cost of how much that looks like.
Understood. Yeah, we like to carry the animal from the field to the freezer, whoever's freezer that is. Just, you know, for our retail customers' purposes, our processor doesn't need a bunch of city folks, if you will, from Brentwood going down and you know, bugging the processor. And for the school, we get it, like, you know, it's not like everyone has a frozen meat delivery special person at every school. So that wouldn't be a problem. You know, really, if I could make a few comments on some things I've heard today, it makes me feel good as a dad. I have 4 young children, to know that there are people out there that actually care about, and I'm going to use the word dignity, as far as food. Dignity and food should be hand in hand. You know, I think you know, the old lunch lady, you know, kind of idea that people have is just getting things slopped onto their plate and one lady said, that she wants it to be the best 2 meals that kid gets. And I just want to say that I think that's amazing. I don't currently have kids in the school system. We're homeschooling. But I just think that that's just so great to hear. And, not the only reason why I'd like to be involved, but that really kind of keyed me into like, man, I would love to be involved in this. Because I think that, not that it's a missing link, but I think that just having a connection with the food and having dignity connected with that food, I think it would help staff. Because it's not like you're getting a Cisco truck to show up with random meat or random produce from a random person or a random country. It's like if someone sees, Ryan or my mom Candace or my wife pull up with a bunch of meat, like chances are my mom's going to talk your ear off for a little while. And I think having that connection is awesome, whoever that might be. So anyway, I'm excited about it. I just would like to know how we could get involved more.
Yeah, well, Ryan, we can have a side conversation after this and just get you started.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Well said, Ryan. Yeah.
And I don't know if
you.
Sebastian is still on the call. I think he got off right as I might have had some technical difficulties. I don't see him on the call anymore.
Samantha, I had to jump off there for a minute to take another call. So I'm sorry. Was I needed there with that conversation?
Nope.
Okay, perfect. Okay, that's great. That's great.
Well, so let's talk about money because money's important and getting funded important. I wanted to share, sorry, I'm just scrolling down my notes. Did want to share some information, and we're going to share this information with you by email, so you'll have access to all the links, so you don't have to worry about taking too many notes right now. But thank you, Caroline, also for taking notes. Sorry, I'm just trying to find out where I put this. Okay. One of the things that's in development right now, and Lydia is part of, is through, we are in the works, the Local Food Network is partnering with Rural Action to help implement a regional food business center. And that touches into the whole entire state of Tennessee. So there, this Appalachia Regional Food Business Center is going to be opening a platform to be able for farmers to apply for grants up to $100,000, no cost share, no strings attached. The only thing that it will be requested is a basic business plan to be able to show, where do you want to take your farm now and in the future. But it's an excellent opportunity. The grants are not open quite yet, but this is more food for thought. Start putting on your thinking caps about what could you do with $100,000. So yeah, this is their website here, and the application link will be on this, but there's also other regional food business centers, the Delta Regional Food Business Center, that you can also possibly apply to as well. Brenda, you have a question?
Yeah, so I wanted to find out more about, do you know, in reference to the grants that this particular food business center is going to offer, is there a cap? Say, for instance, over the 5-year grant program, do they have like a $2 million window or cap? Do you have that information?
The cap is $100,000. So say, like Tyler, you need like some kind of food storage on your farm, you can apply for up to $100,000, but you can also apply every single year for like $20,000. The cap is $100,000 per farmer.
So do you know in reference to the total amount of funding that is available for the 5-year funding cycle?
I do not know that answer, but I can ask that question.
Samantha, okay. And you can double dip on these as well. So like for the TAEP, if you want to get this one and use that for the cost share part, I mean, there's no reason you can't do multiple grants on the same project. I mean, that's yeah.
Well, and I also wanted to share with you our website resources. So if you go to our website, nwtnlfn.org, We do have a whole farm to school section, which includes our current farm to school projects for schools, our Nourishing Connection farm to early childcare program, and a whole slew of resources on our local food procurement page. I'm not going to scroll down this whole thing, but there are tons of resources to get you started and in the right direction. So I would definitely highly recommend checking out our local food procurement page. But we also, if you're not in the local food guide, please get on the local food guide. It's free. We list area farmers. We also feature stories. And then also our Taste of Tennessee Harvest of the Month program, where you can learn about the different items that we're doing and how we're incorporating featured Harvest of the Month products into schools and farmers markets and everybody. Yeah, so that's what I had to share about us. Caroline, did we miss anything? Did we share anything else?
I don't think so. And I've been taking notes, and we'll send this to all of the participants. So you can have access to all those links. I know Mike threw out like all sorts of things, and I recorded that. Yeah, all those links and information will be sent out.
Yeah, so the objective of today's call was really to foster connections between farmers, community organizations, and schools to help plan and secure more local foods in schools, especially the first part of 2024. But as we continue to grow, you know, Caroline and I are always on the grant radar. Mike Brown is a great resource for different funding opportunities through the Tennessee Department of Agriculture. Marlea is an awesome resource for the overall arching farm to school initiatives that are happening in Tennessee. And then Brenda Williams, Dan Spatz, and Jiwon Jun are amazing resources, and that they have like a regional perspective. So, you know, we're starting small, but we're growing big. And the most important is that at the end of the day, we are all eating really yummy, locally grown food. And how wonderful and how lucky we are to have that opportunity. So,
and is it okay with all of you that when we do send out a follow-up email, we can share your email addresses with each other?
Good for me.
Thumbs up. Good. Okay.
Absolutely,
Awesome.
yes.
Yeah, it's fine for us.
Excellent.
All right,
Thank you so much. Well, without further delay, thank you all so much for joining this call. We are so excited about Farm to School and hope y'all are too. We appreciate your time, energy, and resources and dedication to cultivating thriving communities in all of our regions where we live. So thank you so much. And I hope y'all have a wonderful holiday break and you get to enjoy a little bit of downtime before the next growing season comes along. Either way, if y'all have any questions, please feel free to email me or Caroline, and we can get you connected with the right folks as best as we can.
Thank you. Thanks to all.
Caroline, thank you, everyone.
Yep. Thank you.
Bye.